Hey everybody, it's Fangirl Hell. This is episode 8. As you can tell, we're doing it more regularly now. My name is Christy Stewart. I am uh, a disappointment to my family. And as always, my co-host is...
Cosmic, lifelong nerd, aspiring genius, and eating pizza bites for lunch.
Well, I think as long as you're eating healthy, that's all that matters. So, I think like last week, we're going to start off the show with complaining about sexism. Just because that's our MO. So why don't you begin us on that because you pronounce names better than I do.
Well, I've never actually seen the movie she was in, so I've never heard anybody say her name.
You've never saw we're talking about Brave, by the way. You've never saw Brave. You've never seen any movie ever.
Yes, I have.
No movie we ever talk about.
Okay, so Merida,
Okay.
uh, she recently underwent some sort of redesign that made her look, more like a quote Disney princess, and a lot of people are up in arms about it. Go.
Well, it, it's when for some reason the princess what would you even call it? The princess brand, I guess, of
Yeah,
Disney.
yeah.
They have a couple different styles of the princesses that they put out. You have the dolls that will look like they did in the movies, and then you have ones that are slightly different, maybe a little more fancy, and then they recently started doing these overly beautified versions, which I don't know if they sell them as dolls, but they certainly advertise them to look like that. So a lot of people are upset because they are highly beautified, and you'll have a lot of the princesses of color are made to look a lot more Caucasian. Their features are changed. They're
Mm,
always made to be thinner, and that goes for the white princesses as well.
hmm
Um, Skin's lighter, and the dresses that they wear, and sometimes the princesses in the movies don't even wear dresses. They're made just full of sparkles and
Yeah.
ruffles, and it's just this hyper feminine version.
Yeah. So with Merida specifically, in the movie, she's supposed to be a young woman, like, I don't know what,
Teen,
14.
yeah.
So, I mean, she obviously has the figure of a young 14-year-old in the movie. And she has, wild hair, and she has a plain, like, green wool dress. And in this redesigned version, they've, made her, she seems to be a bit taller. They've made her waist skinnier. They've made her eyes bigger. Her face is less round. It's a little slimmer. Her dress is crazy sparkly. Um, and Disney's whole, thing about the reason that this happened is they're like, oh, it's just a one-time thing. She wanted to get dressed up for her coronation. And it's like that completely goes against the personality that you've built for that character.
Well, it's funny because it's like the epitome of uh ironic because in the movie you literally see her saying, "I don't want to dress up for a special event."
Yeah.
And then Disney says, "Oh, she just wanted to dress up for this special event." Okay, so you'll say one thing with your movie, but when you're branding it and selling it to young girls, you want to make sure you stay with the status quo. So you want to get
Yeah.
away with saying, "Look, we, did a great movie that set a great example for young girls, but that's just in the movie, when she has to actually interact with fans and stuff, we want her to be beautiful." And another thing I saw is in her with the group shots,
hmm
they've of course put her in the middle because she's
I haven't
uh
seen any of these group shots. I've only seen just the picture of Merida.
well, I as far as I know there's only maybe one or two, but of course
hmm
they put her in the middle to showcase that she's new, but they've also moved all of the princesses of color into the back.
Oh.
And it's like, what are you thinking? It just doesn't
Mm.
it doesn't make any sense. It seems like no one with any sense works on these things.
I'm curious. Well, if she was in the back, you might not have been able to tell, but Jasmine from Aladdin,
Hmm.
like, she, she was set in a time period and a region of the world where princesses wouldn't necessarily have been wearing the European style princess dress. What
Yeah.
do they have her wearing?
She has like a whitewashed version of of her outfit in the movie, but
Hmm.
like with everybody else, it's full of sparkles
Yeah.
and it's a lot more sexy. Her waist is thinner, even though could it get any thinner?
Yeah.
Tits are out there,
Mm.
yeah. There are close-up shots that they do in some promotional stuff, but yeah, you can't really see much of her because she's not white, so they put her in the back. Ridiculous. So that's it for movies, right?
Yeah, I think so. Did you?
Okay.
I know Megan went and saw Star Trek. Did you see it with her or no?
I did see Star Trek, and in our last episode we talked a lot about it. I realized afterward we talked a lot about it, and
Yeah.
it was just mostly my being ignorant of what Star Trek was. So hopefully that helped people out who are like me and haven't watched the show, because watching the movie after that was very illuminating. I feel like I got a lot more out of the movie for now
I still
knowing.
haven't seen it, so don't spoil me too much.
Well, I think you know more than me what happened.
Oh,
Before the movie even came out, you seem to know everything about it. But
I just
the
knew
movie,
I just knew about the nitpicky things that people were finding faults with.
yeah. Uh, the concern I had last week was that um, that you never see the alliance go too far,
Yeah.
and they address that in the movie.
Oh.
So I thought, oh, okay, well, now I get it. Now I understand. So there was that. I mean, there was also that this movie recreates that epic slash inducing scene
Oh, it
between
did?
yeah, between Captain Kirk and Spock, where it was Spock that was like dying, right, in the
In the
original.
original, yeah.
Yeah, and he's behind the glass, and they do the hand thing. Well, they do, and this is a bit of a spoiler. Can I say it?
Go ahead.
They do the exact opposite in this one.
Oh, I already knew that. I told you that last time.
Well, I didn't know if I should say it without saying the spoiler on the episode.
Oh.
So, uh, they do it in such a way where it's obvious that it's not just a nod to the original scene,
Mhm.
it's also a nod to the Slash fandom.
Mm. Well, that's
It just
nice.
seems very obvious like that. So that was nice. So I liked the movie. I thought it was really good. If you like Star Trek, I think you would like it. And if you're someone like me who has no idea what the hell Star Trek is for the most part, I liked it. I think you'll like it.
Okay. So TV.
TV, it's all about you now.
Okay. I'll start.
Since RuPaul's Drag Race ended, I don't watch TV anymore. I just sulk in my room.
Okay.
I eat bagel bites in the bathroom in the dark.
Salted with your tears.
Yeah, they are extremely salty as this. I'm very dehydrated, but I have the toilet there to lap up some water.
Okay. I'm gonna start with Doctor Who since that's, I guess, the thing that I have the most to say about.
Of course.
So the finale happened last Saturday with the final episode called The Name of the Doctor, which we
Okay,
still.
so just for me, because I'm a little bit confused, and hopefully our listeners are also confused, so I don't sound like an idiot. So this finale, does that mean that's the end for this current Doctor?
No, it's just the end of the season.
Okay, so the same actor is going to come back for another season.
Uh, they're supposed to have a 50th anniversary like TV movie type special in November, and then there's a Christmas special. We definitely in a Christmas special on Christmas Day. We definitely know that the current Doctor will be in the 50th anniversary special in November. Um, Rumors and reports have said that he's coming back for the 8th season, but you don't know if that means he's going to be there for the entire 8th season or if he might regenerate like in the first episode. You have no idea. So,
Okay. Okay, go on. Now I
okay.
understand.
So the finale happened last Saturday, called The Name of the Doctor. Um, I have mixed feelings about the finale. There were good moments, and then there were like eye-rolling moments.
Okay.
Um, so uh, I don't want to get into too much detail because it'd be kind of complicated to explain. But basically, they go to where the Doctor is buried. And I know that sounds weird, but he's a time traveler, so it's his past self going to the burial site of his future self.
Okay.
Okay.
Of his like final death?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. And I guess from what they say and what they show, when a Time Lord dies, because that's what the Doctor is, it's not just like a body. When they, there's this sort of physical manifestation of their timeline. So it looks like all these little like glowing strings like wrapping around and stuff. It's like a physical manifestation of their timeline that they've created with all the time traveling that they've done. So there's multiple timelines.
Okay.
Okay. So the big baddie in the episode, the big bad guy, the Great Intelligence, he goes into this physical manifestation of the Doctor's timeline. And by doing so, he wants to basically put himself into every bit of the Doctor's timeline and try to kill the Doctor, I guess. But there was this sort of like throwaway line that they said. I mean, when the guy who they call the Great Intelligence goes into this physical manifestation of the Doctor's timeline, it looks like he's in pain, and then you sort of see him gradually disappear. And you're not really sure what happened to him until a bit later in the episode where somebody just offhandedly remarks that it killed him. So I don't know, but when he steps into the timeline, the Doctor who's physically there, the past version of the Doctor who's there, basically like buckles over in pain, and he's lying on the ground saying that it feels like it's killing him and all this stuff. And so Clara, his current assistant, decides that she is also going to jump into this physical manifestation of the Doctor's timeline. And, the other people there, one of them is River Song, who you probably don't know who she is, but anybody listening to this who watches Doctor Who knows who she is, and I don't want to take the time to explain it because it'd just be complicated.
Is she the daughter?
No.
Oh, okay, just go on.
She's the daughter of Amy and Rory. But
yeah, I know.
She's
You
the
told me
wife
before.
of the Doctor. Ish. She basically tells Clara, if you do that, you're going to fracture yourself throughout time. There'll just be like these echoes and copies of you throughout time, but they won't be you. They'll just be copies. And Clara, gives this big speech about how she has to save the Doctor. They make it seem like it's this huge sacrifice for her. So she goes into the timeline, the timeline, and you see these like little snippets of past versions of the Doctor, and she's there telling him like, Doctor, don't do that, or you're gonna make a big mistake, and all this kind of stuff, trying to save him basically. And she gives this little like monologue where she says something like, I'm the girl who was born to save the Doctor. And we talked previously about complaints people have that Stephen Moffat is slightly sexist in his writing, and I saw people making comments about her specifically saying, she's the girl who was born to save the Doctor. Basically, people are saying that she was reduced to like the only important thing in her life is this man, and her only reason in life is to save this man. Like, her life before him doesn't matter. Her life possibly after him doesn't matter. It's all about him. And I can kind of see where they're coming from with that. I do, however, feel like the specific scene of like making the decision to fracture yourself throughout time to save someone, I think that could have been a very impactful scene, but I don't think it was with the right companion, because we barely know Clara. She's barely been developed beyond being like this sort of sassy sidekick with a mystery, you know? I mean, we haven't really formed any sort of connection with her, so to have her make any sort of sacrifice like that, it doesn't really impact you, you know?
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
Um, and also, like, back to the people complaining that, you know, that having her sacrifice her life for a man is just another, like, sexist aspect of Stephen Moffat's writing. Like, I was thinking back, like, to previous companions that were around when, before Stephen Moffat became the executive producer and showrunner, when Russell T Davies was still that. There were, excuse me, there were many moments where those companions, it was Rose, Martha, Donna, where they had moments where they basically had to step up and be heroic and save the world or save their family. It wasn't just to save one guy, you know? And granted, saving the Doctor was typically a facet of them saving the world or a facet of them saving their family, but it wasn't only solely about him. And I feel like since Stephen Moffat's taken over, it seems like whenever one of the companions has to step up and be a big hero, it's usually just to save the Doctor. It's not to save, you know, the world or to save their family and their loved ones. It's just to save this one dude. And I don't know, that just seems more, it doesn't seem as emotionally impactful.
Yeah, I get that. Is having not watched it, I can see how, because my first reaction was, well, I mean, he's, the what's the show's about,
Yeah.
so I mean, if her purpose is to save him, that's a pretty big deal, I guess, to the series. But yeah, considering that,
Yeah, because, like, for instance, we'll go with like Martha. She was the second companion of the rebooted series, and in one of her story arcs, um, oh, this is going to be complicated to explain, but basically, there's another Time Lord called the Master, and he's sort of like the Doctor's arch nemesis, I guess you could say. And the Master is able to basically capture the Doctor and make him very like weak and feeble, to where he can't do anything to stop the Master, and the Master takes over the world. And Martha spends an entire year traveling around the world spreading this plan to stop the Master. The Master also has Martha's family. So she spends an entire year like trekking around the world, hitchhiking, you know, going on shady ferry boats, that kind of stuff, to spread this plan of how humanity is going to save the world from the Master. And then the day comes when the plan is going to be enacted, and it works. And she saves not only the Doctor, her family, but the world. You know, Donna, she like she I would say is sort of like the predecessor of the girl with a mystery around her, because
mm-hmm.
Donna, like, she starts off as this sort of unassuming kind of person, but then, you know, you hear people offhandedly remark how she's very important, or she's the most important person in the world, that kind of stuff. And then in the end, in her final like episode, basically, she ends up saving the world. And it's like the entire world, not just the Doctor, the entire world. Like, so it's like, you know, the companions used to have that much like I don't know, importance, that they not only saved one person, but they saved everybody. And it seems like with Stephen Moffat, they just save like one person. And granted, you could make the argument that, you know, if the Doctor is taken away, you know, all of the people that he eventually helped or helped in the past, he wouldn't be there. So it would be like undoing all the people and worlds that he saved. So
But
without,
this,
you
but
know,
couldn't the same be said for the other companions that saved him and the world?
exactly. I feel like the companion's role has somewhat been diminished. And again, I don't know specifically what's causing that, but I'm gonna put my finger and point the blame at Moffat.
Well, why not? He's an asshole. I, I, yeah, because it seems like if every other, well, not every other, but if there were other women who saved the Doctor and the world, and yet this girl is supposed to be proud of the fact that she was born only to save him, I would feel, if I was her, I'd be like, oh, I'm the shittiest one. I could only save him. Everybody else saved the world.
And she only saves herself by fracturing herself throughout time, basically killing herself.
So is she dead now?
Her present, oh, it's hard to, okay, because when she fractured herself throughout time, her current timeline self basically ceased to exist at that point. But since time theory is very confusing, I would hypothesize that since it was at a point very far into the future, even though it was her current timeline that she was killing, in the past, she'd still be existing. Does that make sense?
Kind of. I'm
Time
gonna go with it.
time travel theory is very confusing. But
Yes.
so basically, like, let's say that right at this moment, somebody, like, you happen to travel into the future, but some people theorize that that any decision that you make while going along a straight line in time causes a fracture, another timeline to be created. So you'd basically would have created two separate universe timelines, basically. So in one timeline, you're still in the past, in the other, you're in the future.
Mm.
So if the timeline where you went into the future, you die, there's still a timeline out there where you're living your life in the past.
Is that the theory under which Doctor Who works?
I have no idea.
They never explain it?
Not really.
That seems an important part of the story.
Okay, so let's move on from Doctor Who.
Okay.
So, the IT crowd or the it crowd, you can say it either way. You've never seen this show, which, I can't believe you've never seen it.
If it makes you feel better, I've seen lots of GIF sets of it on Tumblr.
Okay, so the IT crowd or the it crowd, it was a British comedy. It lasted for 4 seasons. The final season ended in 2010. And it basically focuses on 3 people who work in the IT department of a massive corporation, basically. You've got Roy and Moss, who are the true, like, IT nerds, and then you have Jen, who basically lied about her computer skills and ended up being the manager of the IT department, and she knows nothing about computers.
Oh, that sounds sexist.
Well,
Are there any girls that know what they're doing?
there aren't really many characters in the show to begin with.
That seems like you're just making an apology.
No. Well, I mean, it could be. I don't know. There aren't, like I said, there aren't really very many recurring characters in the show at all. Like, there's basically the 3 of them and then the boss that you see sometimes. There aren't very many characters that are recurring.
But they could have made one of the geeky people a girl.
Yes,
And made the fake one a guy.
Yes,
I don't know. Your show sounds horrible.
Jen's a nice person. She eventually, the guys, at first the guys don't like her because they know that she's lying about her computer skills, but then they all become friends. So,
Huh. Yeah, all right. Makes you feel better.
Okay. Anyway, well, okay, but I know it's a stereotype to say that women don't know anything about computers, but the thing is, there are women who don't know anything about computers, just like there are men who don't know anything about computers. Like, I don't necessarily know or think that they made Jen a woman who doesn't know about computers into intentionally, or even, like, ah ha ha, women don't know anything about computers. I mean, I feel like
But
they could.
don't you think the person writing the script, if the character was originally written as a woman that came from conditioned doxa?
What?
Doxa is the preconceived stereotypes in society.
Okay.
So don't you think that it came from doxa?
Probably, possibly. I don't know.
Well, then that is sexist. And if it was written as just, oh, there's this character and they lie about their skills when they're casting, I bet your ass they only cast for women. And even if they didn't, I hiring a woman is also an expression of sexist doxa. Because of course they're like, oh, this character would be perfect because women aren't typically good at computers.
Okay. Well, I mean, I don't know if you would consider it this, but to counteract the stereotype of women not being good at computers, their boss, like the head CEO guy of the company, knows even less about computers than she does.
Well, I think that's also a stereotype, though. Well, it's maybe not stereotype. That's not the word I'm looking for. Like a trope, the dumb
Yeah.
boss.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just
Oh,
admit that a show you like is sexist. That's fine.
I think that I'm capable of separating the two. I'm just enjoying entertainment as being entertainment.
I can do. I love the Ninja Turtles, and there's not a girl Ninja Turtle.
Yes. Okay. So back to what I was going to say about the IT crowd before you derailed
Okay,
me.
sorry. I just want to let you know that something you love is horrible.
Okay. Um. So, um, the last season, ended in 2010, and they're coming back for a like 1 hour special finale, like the absolute end.
Well,
And
did they leave it open or something?
yeah, I mean, because yeah, it wasn't really like a final cut and dry ending. So yeah, um, because I mean, there's not really like any overarching plot lines, really. So it's kind of hard to have like a cut and dry ending. Um, but yeah, they're coming back for like a 1 hour special. From what I read, it's supposed to film sometime this year and air in 2014. All the original cast is back. Um, oh, my mind just went blank of the guy who plays Roy, but Roy, Moss, Jen, the boss guy who's eventually was taken. The part was taken over by the son of the CEO because the CEO killed himself. Um,
Okay.
they were like in the middle of a board meeting, and I guess they got bad news, and he just basically opens a window and jumps out.
Okay, I'm down with that.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, that was it for the IT crowd. They're gonna come back for like a 1 hour finale special.
Well,
Um.
good. I hope it's not really sexist. I'll stop.
Okay. So In the Flesh is coming back for a second season.
Yes.
It was announced earlier this week. I'm super happy. I'm
So all I know is that you told me it was coming back. So here's my barrage of questions. Do you know anything about what they're gonna do and how many episodes and when?
no, I don't.
You don't know any?
If I could hold on. I linked you to an article about it. Did you not read the article? Because that's all I know about it.
We have this podcast, and I thought I might as well just ask on the podcast.
Hold on.
That way I wouldn't have to read.
I'll have to open the article. Hold on. Okay. Let's see. Series 2 revisits the Cauldron of Rorton, where the living and the undead have reached a fragile peace. After the shocking events of Series 1, Kieran is hoping to get on with his second life, but the arrival of new and explosive characters throws plans into disarray. Battle lines are drawn, and all will be judged. It says that it will film later this year and transmit in 2014 on BBC Three.
I hope it's like the beginning of 2014.
Also, I know a few podcasts back I said that In the Flesh was going to air on BBC America on August 3rd because that's what was originally announced when they announced that they were going to be airing it. But I've seen commercials on BBC America saying that it's going to be airing on June 6th. So they've obviously pushed it forward. So June 6th.
That's awesome. Oh, you guys, if you haven't seen it, you have to watch it. Even if you don't like zombies.
Yeah. Because, I mean, it's not, a lot of it isn't really necessarily about the typical zombie stuff. It's, you know, there's a lot of, like, allegory and family drama and, like, yeah.
Romance. Angsty romance.
Allegories for, like, prejudice and homophobia and,
well, I don't think the homophobia was an allegory. Straight up.
No, yeah.
I'm so excited. I love that show.
Yeah. I just hope the second season is as good as the first. Because that would be horrible.
Oh,
to get a second season and then have it not live up to what the first one was, you know?
Yeah, it's gonna be hard because the first season was so good.
Mm-hmm.
And I think not only was it good, but everybody talked it up so much.
Yeah.
That our memories of it are probably better than it actually was. So.
Yeah. I think, but from what it said in the article that battle lines are going to be drawn and stuff like that, do you think they're going to involve more of, like, the undead prophet stuff? And maybe, like, some of his followers are going to, like, clash with people who, you know, aren't PDS sufferers?
Well, I'm hoping they're gonna do something about that cult, you know?
Yeah, that's the undead prophet.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot that was his name.
Because in that little article I just read to you, it said that, you know, battle lines are going to be drawn between people in Rorton and some outsiders that come in or whatever. So it makes me think, like, you know, maybe these outsiders are gonna be somebody from the Undead Prophets, like, group or something. I don't know, we'll see.
I'm excited.
Yeah. Okay. Comics!
Do you have anything about comics?
Only what you're gonna talk about.
Okay, so obviously I'm going to talk about Deadpool because that's all that I do anymore. So every year Deadpool and Spider-Man have a team up, and they're popular because Spider-Man's popular and of course Deadpool's popular, and that's kind of how the ship of Spideypool got started, especially with I can't even remember what year it was, but the one with Hit Monkey, where Deadpool puts on a dress and hits on him and asks him out on a date publicly by sending out flyers to the whole city, and then tries to convince him to move in together. And
oh yeah, I remember seeing that. Yeah.
So that's how our ship really caught legs. I
Mhm.
guess you would say. So, of course, we were all really excited about this year's, but as things unfolded, Deadpool in his series, he becomes possessed by a ghost, an agent of Shield.
Mhm.
So he kind of shares his body with this woman as they're, trying to find a way to get her a new body. And
Uh-huh.
meanwhile, in the Spider-Man comic, they kill him off, and Dr. Octopus takes over his body and takes the place of Spider-Man. And originally, Spider-Man's ghost was like following him around, so we thought, okay, well, it's not going to be really Spider-Man and Deadpool like we wanted, but Deadpool's, still him, even though he has a woman in his head, but when does he not? And Spider-Man's going to be there as a ghost, and Deadpool can see ghosts, so
Yeah.
awesome. And then a couple issues before this team up came out, Dr. Octopus exorcises Peter's ghost, and he's completely gone. So
Oh
then it was
no.
like, oh, great. It's going to be nothing now. It's going to be Deadpool with Dr. Octopus in a twink's body. So it was kind of, you know, disappointing because we only get one of these a year. But then the preview pages came out, and we see Deadpool flirting with him just as much as always, and it was, it was fun, and it was like, okay, well, we still have Deadpool being in love with Spider-Man, and that's what Spideypool is anyway.
Yeah.
Spider-Man, he's a heterosexual dude, and I will go to my grave that Deadpool is not, because he's not. A dude who has sex with dudes is not straight. Just saying. Uh, so we were really excited about that, and so the day it came out, super happy, sat down to read it, and you get a few pages in, and it like completely escalates, and Deadpool's all flirty with him, and it's great, and then there's this a scene where Deadpool wants to shoot this guy, and Spider-Man, Doc Ock says, tells him not to do it, and the guy says, "You need to listen to your friend," and Deadpool puts his arm around Spider-Man and says, "We're more like lovers,"
Yeah.
and then calls him Sweetums. And so I stopped reading right then, and I went on my blog, and I was like, "Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! I gotta go finish reading it." So it goes on like that, and it's fantastic. And they recreate that epic scene where Spider-Man's hanging upside down
Yeah.
and he kisses Mary Jane. Well, Deadpool comes to at the end of the comic, and he's hanging upside down, and he goes, "Is this heaven?" Because he's face to face with Spider-Man, and he goes, "Are we gonna kiss?" And of course, Doc Ock says, "No, never." And it was, and a lot of people have said this, and it seems exactly what it was. The whole thing seemed like a fanfic.
Yeah. From
Oh,
from the from the few panels that I saw that you posted, totally.
yeah,
Totally.
yeah. So that was exciting enough. We all were very, very happy. Fanboys, on the other hand, were very, very upset about it, and there was a lot of homophobic things being
Yeah.
said. And
Yeah, I asked you about this and you said you were gonna tell me, so
uh,
like what kind of drama was there?
well, it ranged from people, and online you can't tell what gender people are, but
Yeah.
funny enough, most of these people who say homophobic things and are fans of Deadpool, and we have to deal with a lot, they tend to put pictures of themselves as their icons.
Yeah.
So it's always white guys. White guys are the worst. They were saying things like this sucks, and how they're just um they didn't use this exact term, but they were complaining about the writers pandering to the girl fans, which
Okay.
they most certainly were, and I'm fine with it. But uh, and then it went all the way to Marvel's making everybody gay. Next, they're gonna have pedophiles and Muslim terrorists.
I saw that comment on YouTube. That oh my goodness, that's a big that's mm.
Yeah, I mean,
they're
it,
basically connecting homosexuals, pedophiles, and terrorists as being like equals.
Yeah,
Like,
it was like not
no.
not only are you homophobic, but you're also disgusting with equating homosexuality with pedophilia, but then you have to go and be racist because of course
Yeah,
it has to be Muslim
Muslim
terrorists.
terrorists. Yeah,
Yeah. And of course, on our blogs we were excited about it, we were talking about it, and a lot of girls and maybe some guys, I don't know the gender of everybody, um got a lot of hate mail of, Deadpool's not gay, just going off on him, saying really disgusting,
yeah,
disgusting, rude, violent, sexist things to them. So I've asked, everybody to write in if you liked it. So please do. Um, we'll put the address on the screen to write in. Write in if you liked it, to thank the writers. At least just say it was funny because they're getting a lot of feedback that people are mad about it, and the majority of people are not mad about it. It was really funny. So that seemed like the best thing ever, and I was on cloud nine. And then a couple days later, all of a sudden, Marvel releases a video on their YouTube channel, and it's Deadpool doing a recap interview
yeah.
of their team up,
Of
and it's
their meet cute, as he called it.
yeah, and they titled the video the post date interview,
Yeah,
which is so cute. And in it like because when I first started watching it, I thought, oh no, maybe this is kind of a response to people being upset, and they're gonna downplay you know the the Spideypoolness, but they
yeah,
just up the ante,
yeah.
and he
They doubled
flirts.
down.
Yeah, it was kind of like they were like, oh, you guys want to be homophobic dicks about it? Well, then we're gonna make Deadpool even gayer. Because he goes on flirting with him. He compares the relationship to a Stephanie Myers
Yeah,
novel, calls him Spider Minx, and, and he says that he would want to spend more time alone with him, and they just kept going and going and going,
yeah.
and it was amazing. And so I and everybody else was in complete shock. Uh, On most of our blogs, it was just kind of like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. And then all of a sudden, they post another video, and it's called Spideypool Fanfic.
Yeah.
And it's the editor of Deadpool, and I don't know if anybody knows this, but he's actually the editor of Deadpool, and I'm sure he does other things. Whatever. Who cares? He's on Deadpool. Reading a Spideypool fanfic.
Yeah.
And it's obvious that they wrote it.
Yeah, at first when he said that he had his assistant look it up, um and then I forget exactly what he said, but he said something that let you know his assistant was female. I got like I instantly thought, oh, maybe she wrote this and handed it to him. But it's very it almost seems like it was purposefully written to be a parody of a bad fic. Like,
Yeah.
you
I
know,
mean,
like
it,
it doesn't even seem like it's a genuine bad fic. It looks like it sounded like somebody said, oh, write a really bad fan fiction for us, and then somebody wrote what they thought a bad fan fiction would sound like, because a real genuine bad fan fiction is
yeah.
disastrous.
Yeah, you and I probably have read our fair share to know when there's a fake afoot.
Yes.
So yeah, not only does it come off as kind of fake and kind of seems like someone who wrote it was wrote
You know what it seemed like, thinking about it now? It seemed like it would have been part of some sort of like sketch comedy show where they were trying to purposefully make something that had a lot of like homoerotic innuendo,
yeah,
but never actually followed through. That's what it
yeah,
seemed like. That's what it seemed
which
like.
is a good reason as to why to assume it's not real,
Yeah.
because there is no innuendo in
No.
fanfic. That's not what we do.
Well, if there is, you follow through with it in the end.
Yeah. So, and also that I and other people have gone looking for the original fanfic. There's no trace of it, and trust me, with our software and our know-how and the fact that I follow everything in this community, it's not real. So cute and funny. So for those who haven't seen it, yeah, he reads it. It's like it's this. They're building like a
Treehouse.
shed, a tree house, right? And it's actually kind of boring at the beginning because they try to make it funny, just, but it's kind of not. But then you get to the point where Deadpool gets like a splinter in his thigh, and so Spider-Man, holds his thigh and was like, "Oh, you have to make sure it doesn't get infected," and he carries him in. And they end there, and they end with the guy, with the editor. I forget his name at the time. Sorry. Um, he's like, "Oh, I don't see what's so bad about this," and that's the end of the video.
Yeah.
So
I think it would have been funnier if they had actually got just full on went for the raunchiest thing they could.
well, also I know that they couldn't do that because it's on Marvel's YouTube page, which
Yeah, they
kids
could
are
have
supposed to
bleeped
be able
it.
to watch.
They could have just bleeped it.
Well, kids are supposed to be able to watch that channel.
Can't you can't you put age restrictions on certain YouTube videos? I think you can do that, can't you?
I don't know.
They could have done that. I think you can do that.
Well, maybe for the next one. So yeah, when they did that, it was like, what now? What could they do now?
Yeah. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see. Do you get? I mean, do you think if there's a big enough backlash to all this that they'll stop doing it, or do you think that they'll just keep doing it anyway?
Well, honestly, I don't know how they could keep doing it without it seeming uh, just kind of, I don't know how to say, because Spider-Man's not going to be in any future issues with them. So
Yeah.
if he's walking around, Deadpool is doing his normal thing in his comic book, and he keeps mentioning Spider-Man, it's going to seem odd even to those of us who like it. It'll be like a little bit like, okay, well, still let
Yeah.
Deadpool be Deadpool. So
Well,
none of us.
not necessarily specifically uh with Spider-Man, but 'cause to me, I mean, it seems as if doing this kind of stuff, they're at least acknowledging that there are fans who see Deadpool as something other than the straightest guy, you
Well,
know?
here's the
Um,
thing.
so do you think that they would continue to acknowledge that, or if they get a big enough backlash, they'll totally backpedal and just make Deadpool start banging chicks constantly?
If they did that, that would be so out of character because he never gets laid ever, and and that's kind of like his appeal. He's like the loser of Marvel. So if he
Yeah.
starts getting laid, I think even the homophobic fanboys would be like, "Stop it! I can't relate to him anymore." But here's the thing. Uh, Deadpool has always been like the kind of oddball character that no one takes seriously.
Yeah.
Uh, Even the fans and kind of Marvel and the writers have always been able to do kind of off the wall things with him, and he kind of always addresses like the ridiculousness of Marvel and the fandom. He always has, and he's taken the ridiculous villains from the 60s and 70s, and they put him in Deadpool comics, and they made him like one guy who had like a bell for his head. They made him a psychologist, and Deadpool went to him for a while, and just he's always been able to be ridiculous and be out there and be kind of progressive, and because it's just like Deadpool, and his sales before Daniel Way weren't always that steady. So he already has that culture around him, but then you have this new team who they're not new to comic books or Marvel, but I mean they're not, they've had other careers, especially Brian Posehn.
Yeah.
And you definitely got the sense that they kind of didn't know what to expect from the interviews they did beforehand, and they kind of didn't expect things to be taken so well because they were having their friends writing letters because they didn't expect, I guess, for Deadpool to get a lot of fan letters, even though that's become not the case.
Yeah.
And as time went on, and I've written in and I've talked to, people on the staff, they really were flabbergasted, not only that women really like Deadpool, but that women were writing in, and literally a staff member told me this, that women would write in and tell them how attractive they found Deadpool and how they wanted to marry him.
Wow.
And that kind of like they were like, "Oh, okay, this is new." And then they kind of found out about Spideypool, and they,
Yeah.
they kind of just went with it. They didn't know what it was apparently to begin with,
Which
and then when
doesn't.
they,
I mean, okay. Granted, you could maybe. I don't. I mean, how could you? They work. Their work is centered around Deadpool, but they obviously must not check anything about him on the internet, like to not have ever heard of it.
I don't know, I guess they didn't think that uh, that type of behavior in community was as big of a deal as it is, or you're when you're just within the industry, you're kind of disconnected from the people.
Yeah,
Is the only thing I can think.
but there. I was gonna say, like, it feels like in the past few years, it feels like fangirls have sort of taken over fandom on the internet.
Yeah.
Like years ago, the whole stereotype of like people in a fandom on the internet was like, nerdy guys in their basement arguing about Star Wars or something. And now it's like the idea of fandom on the internet is like girls, shipping things. Like
Yeah.
it just it's odd to think about it. Like that we've lived through that crossover.
Yes, we're finally taking control. And I definitely would take a title like Deadpool that is allowed to not be serious and is intentionally supposed to break the fourth wall and comment on the industry and on the fandom, to be the first one to kind of address this. And the fact that they're actually doing it now is
Yeah.
fantastic. I mean, the co-writer Gary Dugan, he has a Tumblr. He posts on Tumblr, um, and he follows that stuff to a point. I don't know how much he uses it, but he does use his Tumblr. Um, so he is very much aware of all the Spideypool stuff that goes on, and it was when they were still developing Deadpool 10. He I kind of made a comment to him, something about, how they were being really cool about the Spidey pool, and he kind of did like a nod, nod, wink, wink thing.
Oh.
I can't remember exactly what he said, and at the time I thought, oh, he's just being cute, and then this came out, and I realized, oh, that's what that meant. He was
Christy
like,
with her insider connections.
oh, hardly. Yeah. So it's the staff seemed originally really surprised that this is a culture, and now they're completely embracing it. So whether they stay with it or not, I don't know, because they're definitely going to get feedback, and
Yeah.
I just hope that we can give them more feedback than homophobic people will.
Yeah.
So that's it. Happy Spideyful, everybody. So, you ready for your squee?
You can go first.
Okay, not to be, you know, all Deadpool all the time, but my squee is Deadpool, and it's not the Spidey pool. It's Marvel Heroes is a video game, an MMORPG that's being released June 4th, and you can buy. I mean, you can play it for free, but to be able to really get any good characters in the game, you have to pay for them. And you can pre-order packages of characters and play early. If you spend $200, you get to play 7 days early, and you get every single character they have and every expansion and everything. But you can also buy specific characters for $50, and you can play 4 days early. And they have a Deadpool set, and you can play him as, you know, his X-Force costume, his X-Men costume. You can play him as a pirate. You can play him in cosplay as the Walking Dead guy. He's totally cute. So my squee is, I'm so excited for this game to finally be out, because I didn't want to do the beta testing. Was so done with that, but I'm excited to play it early. And I'm gonna play my Deadpool.
Anybody playing Spider-Man, watch out.
Did you see me say that?
Yeah.
I literally said that, yeah.
It bears repeating, though.
I will. If I see a Spider-Man, I'm going to hump the shit out of you. I'm gonna get banned.
Harassment.
I know. I'm gonna get banned so quickly, but I always do on every game.
Okay. So my squee. Well, the biggest two squees that I've had recently.
You have two squeeze?
And we've already mentioned them. So the biggest two squees that I've had this week actually was finding out that In the Flesh was going to have a second season, and finding out that IT Crowd was coming back for a special finale. I found out about both of them on the same lunch break, surfing the internet on my phone, and I was like in the employee break room trying not to flip out. So yeah, those are my squeeze.
Well, those are good ones. Well, one of them is good.
Oh, give it a try.
I will try it.
Okay.
Okay, so my what the fuck. It's Deadpool again. This is for the Deadpool game. This is a Marvel Heroes. This is just the Deadpool game that's coming out. It's coming out the end of June 25th, I think. Everyone's been looking forward to it. Looks really good. Looks really funny. It's like a combat game, and you can, at one point in the game, apparently in the beginning, you kind of play it like The Sims. Like, you go around his house, you can check his voicemails, and he plays on the computer and stuff.
Deadpool has voicemail?
Yeah, I cannot wait to see what the voicemail is. Because, yeah. And how does he know how to work voicemail? That I want to know too. So the what the fuck about it is that they've dropped the pre-order price, and people are saying, "Oh, that means the game's gonna suck now. It's really bad." So now all these gamer blogs are being really hard on it. And what sucks about that, because usually be like, "Whatever, I'm still gonna play the game if I want to play the game." What sucks about it is that there's been a lot of heavy rumors that the better the sales are for this game, the more likely it is we're going to have a Deadpool movie. So I'm a little worried that people are just going to naysay this so much that people aren't going to buy it, and we're going to not get our goddamn Deadpool movie.
I hope you get your Deadpool movie. I'd like to see the Deadpool movie even. I think it'd be good.
I would love for you to see the Deadpool movie. So what's yours?
Okay. It's not really anything major. I this always happens. Like, I either have I only have one thing. I either have a squee or I have a WTF. I rarely have both. So I guess this will be my WTF. So after the last podcast, I was really, 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 really like nostalgic, wanting to watch Star Trek Voyager. Because I grew up watching that. Like, I saw the very first episode in 1995, and I saw the very last episode in, I think it was 2001 or 2. So like, I went from elementary to middle school to high school watching this show. So the first season was available for free streaming on YouTube. So I watched the whole first season, and they have the entire run of all 7 seasons of the show, but only the first season is free. After that, you have to have Hulu Plus to watch it.
Mm.
So I was like, well, I could sign up for the free trial, but I thought it was a 30-day trial, but it's only a 1-week trial. So, um, so I mean, I could sign up for that, and I could probably burn through the second season over a weekend. But then I'm out of luck because then I don't get the third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh season. So I thought, oh, okay, I'll just buy the box set. But it's 7 seasons, like 172 episodes. The cheapest on Amazon that it is $274.
Wow.
However, that's at Amazon's reduced price. If you try to buy it at, say, at the actual like Star Trek official website,
Yeah.
take a guess at how much it costs.
If $200 is the reduced price?
$274.
$274?
Yeah.
$350?
Nope. At the official Star Trek website, the entire 7-season box set of Star Trek Voyager is, drum roll, $529.98.
Does it come with more than just the episodes?
No.
What?
I mean, it's like a DVD, so it's got special features or whatever. But
yeah, but sometimes the box set comes with special like artwork or toys.
Not that I noticed when I was looking at it. Nope, it's just 47 DVD discs in the packages that they would have come in. Yeah.
Not to out myself as someone who participates in illegal behavior, but have you considered just downloading them from torrent?
I did, but that would be gigantic. Because each season, the first season was 15 episodes, but every season after that was 26 episodes.
Jeez.
That would be really big. But our friend Megan suggested that I try to find it on eBay. So I've been stalking a few things. There's this one I've been watching. There's 7 hours 34 minutes left to bid, and it's currently at $118.50.
Jeez, dude.
Yeah. If that's like the cheapest one on here, that's from somebody who actually has like, you know, some feedback, because I'm kind of weary of buying from somebody who has like zero feedback.
I'm so frivolous. I'll just be like, yeah, I'll buy that. I won't look at their feedback. I'm an idiot. If it helps sway you any, because the Marvel Avengers Alliance game on Facebook that I play, because I play Deadpool on it, you can get gold to use in the game if you sign up through Hulu Plus through it. So if you want to start playing that game with me, and get Hulu Plus, you'll get a bunch of gold.
I'm not really a big gamer.
I'm just throwing that out there.
Like, I mean, yeah, I'm not really that big into gaming. Like, I played no, I played Sonic 2.
The Hedgehog?
Sonic the Hedgehog 2 when I was younger. But I was never as good at it as my sister was.
I was always Mario Brothers and Street Fighter.
I had my first gaming console was my dad's old Atari.
Oh.
So we had like, you know, Mrs. Pac-Man and this one game that I don't remember what it was called. I think it was called Berserk, maybe. You're like, there's this outline of a room and there's robots in the room, and you basically have to go around shooting the robots. And if you run into the wall, you get electrocuted. And if you run into one of the robots, you get electrocuted. And then we had, you know, like Asteroid and all that kind of stuff. Then we upgraded. Oh, we also had the E.T. Atari game, which is basically Pan's first video game ever.
Yeah.
It was so confusing. Like, you just wander around and things randomly happen, and you're like, well, why did I get that all of a sudden? I've been doing the same thing for the past 20 minutes, and nothing happened, and then all of a sudden something happens? Okay.
They should really relaunch that video game. Maybe it's a first-person shooter.
Then we got the Sega Genesis, and we had like a baseball game. We had Awesome Possum, who was basically fought pollution. Awesome Possum. Oh yeah, that was a funny game. And Sonic the Hedgehog 2 and Goofy's like Adventures Through Time or something like that, but
Jeez.
we never got that game was really hard. Like you start off in like the um like I don't know exactly what period, but it was, ancient Earth, like with dinosaurs and stuff. And then you move on to the next period in time and the next period in time. But I mean, I think we only got past the dinosaur level like once or twice. It was really hard.
Well, from the sounds of it, you were a hardcore gamer when you were young.
Well, yeah. I mean, well, we didn't have like a computer or anything, so it's kind of the only thing to do.
Yeah. As long as you didn't take risque shots of yourself with the console over your, tits or vagina, you're doing fine. Okay, so I think that wraps our hour up.
Yeah.
Good show, everybody. Good job. Spideypool, everybody.
Yeah.
Bye, everybody. Bye.
Bye.